And I understand we have a couple pieces left, David. You want to take?
Yeah, a couple of short pieces, and this is in complete contrast to the thing which was earlier on, we did earlier on. This is an attempt to be very realistic. I I'm doing this other project called Tales from the Emergency Room, which is basically people who are in the emergency room of a hospital for one reason or another. Originally, I conceived it as a series of monologues, and I think some of them will be monologues, but I've kind of expanded it to slightly. So I've got two short pieces from that series, and I suggest we do them one after the other, and any kind of discussion after both of them. One's called Fat Angie, and the other one's just called Pat and Alice. And I think if we do Fat Angie first, which is a monologue, and then Pat and Alice, which Mary and Gwyneth are going to do, and just let me know if it seems realistic or not, because that's what I'm trying to do. And I'll hand it over to Peg, who here you have to imagine is quite fat.
Correct.
This is the 35th time I've been in the emergency room this year. I've got to have a psychiatric assessment, and I was expecting that. My son, he came with me this time. He was sitting there playing some game on his phone. He told me it was brain training, and it didn't look like it to me. This time when I came in, I had collapsed at home with the pain, and it was awful. The doctor came and he asked me if I was in a lot of pain, and I tried not to be sarcastic and just said yes. And he asked, "Would you like me to give you something for the pain?" I had been asking for ages. I started to tell him, I was in 5 weeks ago. Mr. Patel took out my gallbladder, and then I stopped. I had to be truthful with him. I had had enough of being in pain. You know what I mean? I'd had enough. And I'm not coping at home. And at the weekend, the pain was as bad that I really thought about doing something stupid. Like what, he said. I haven't got to say, have I? That's not allowed to say it like that. And yes, I did. I thought about it because I had had enough. I thought that once the gallbladder came out, after having the gastric bypass, my life would be different. And it is, because I've lost the weight, but it just seems to have opened this other can of worms. And I am not dealing with that situation good at this moment. And it's not the first time I've had this thought. I've had it before, and yes, I've done it before. I've taken an overdose before. And then the doctor asked me about the gastric bypass, why I'd had it done, and I told him because I was fat. And he seemed surprised. I couldn't lose weight, whatever I did. They told me I had to eat less. I told them that was like telling teenagers not to have sex. You might win the odd battle, but the war was lost a long time ago. You see, I was over 400 pounds, and now I'm just over 200. So I've lost half my body somewhere. But people still look at me as fat. And when you're fat, everything gets put down to your size. You can't just be a normal person. And like anything you do, being fat gets added to it. You can't just be a bitch. You have to be a fat bitch. And if you're angry, whatever it's about, you're a fat, angry woman. Fat people can't be cool. They can't be hipster. If they're on TV, they're there because they're fat. And you can't be an ordinary person on TV and be fat at the same time. And you can't be ill. You can't have other medical problems. People don't actually look into the situation. It's always like, it's because you're fat. We can't discuss it with you now because it's your size that's causing the problem. So what you say tends to get disregarded. And as soon as the doctors see the size of you, they think they have all the answers. You're too fat and that's it. It's never been popular. I don't think it ever will be. I saw something on TV the other day about being body positive and all that. And yeah, great when you've got a job on TV and all your TV friends are there to tell you how great you are. You're so positive. But when it comes to getting on a bus, a regular working woman still is just somebody who takes up too much space. Big people have rights as well, you know. There just aren't no laws about it. We've got feelings just as much as skinny people. And in fact, I think they've got more because fat people are more loving. I am not going to take it anymore. They just can't do that anymore. I've lost weight and I'm still in pain. This time, they're going to listen.
Thanks, Peg. If we go straight on to Pat and Alice. Alice is a lady in her 70s, coiffured hair in a sling. Pat is also in her 70s, her friend. Pat has a newspaper.
Do you think we'll be able to get a sandwich or something around here? I'm starving.
Don't know.
That was back at the old hospital. They used to have somebody come around with a trolley.
A trolley?
Yes, you know, cart like they use on the wards.
What, a nurse pushing a cart around with sandwiches on it?
Yeah, no, it wasn't a nurse. It was just a person.
Well, I'm glad you said that.
What?
A person. I was worried it might have been, well, I don't know, what it might have been if it wasn't a person.
Of course, you didn't know when they were made. They might have been last week's.
You didn't try them then?
Oh, yes, it was before things used to have the best before, whatever day they were best before.
Have you noticed that since they started printing those dates on the packets, they go bad more quickly?
You know, you're quite right. They never used to.
I bought some salt the other day.
Salt?
Oh no, gourmet salt.
Gourmet?
Now, what did it say? Something like, this salt was laid down by the evaporation of ancient seas around the primeval continent of Pangolin. It was extracted from almost a mile below the Black Forest by our dedicated team from the beds where it had lain undisturbed for more than 600 million years. Best before 1st of July.
I was looking forward to my fish and chips. You had to go and talk about salt, didn't you? I was just starting to forget. I was hungry. We should have been coming out and going home about now. That pub does lovely fish and chips.
Well, you shouldn't have tripped over that what's-it then.
I didn't mean to. I think my eyes are going.
I could fancy a sandwich myself now. I bet it's 8 o'clock, isn't it?
I don't know. My watch is all wrapped up in this thing.
I see someone's won that 300 million on the Powerball. That's too much, you know. I wouldn't want to win that much. That fella must be older than me. What's he going to do with it at his time of life?
Yes, well, he's got family he can leave it to.
Just the 1 million, that would do me. I'm not greedy.
You wouldn't want your Mary and her husband to inherit the rest, then?
Well, I wouldn't mind her getting some, but not him. He drinks too much.
Of course, he writes stuff, doesn't he? There's a lot of those writers drink a lot. I think it makes them more creationist or something.
I can write.
Yeah, but he sells it to the TV, doesn't he?
Sometimes, though, I'm not sure what they do with it. Do you know what he said to me just at the weekend? He says, here's a joke for you, Pat. I went to see Ben-Hur the other day. Oh, yes, I said. I like Ben, but I didn't like her, is what he said. And I just looked at him. He thinks he'll sell it to Saturday Night Live.
That'll be nice.
You could get through all the money pretty quickly. I mean, look at Gordon Ramsay.
Where?
Oh, I mean, just think about him. He's always going bust.
Is he?
Oh, yeah. He's always having to get bailed out. And look at all the money he has, but he lost it all.
Not surprising with all that swearing. Every word is an F. He's an absolutely awful, horrible man.
You watch all his shows then?
Oh, yes, wouldn't miss it.
I was watching the TV last night, a program about Africa and the lost dream of decolonization.
You do watch some intellectual stuff.
They were talking about that Robert Mugabe, you know, the fella from Zimbabwe. You know who I mean.
The only thing I know about him is if you spell his name backwards, it's Ibagum.
They were talking about how he fought against the white minority rulers, and when he got in power himself, he just became a dictator. They had an interview with one of his old comrades, or whatever they call them in Africa, a fella called Wilf Mababwe.
What did you think of him?
I thought, what a great name for a cat. Does your arm hurt?
Not really.
And that's it for this thing. There'll be more, but just playing around with stuff.
All right. Well, thanks for bringing it in, and comments.
Keep writing them.
Great
Yeah.
acting.
Yeah,
Great acting. And I wanted to say something about that. I think was that Peggy did it. Was it the Fat?
Fat Angie.
And my heart tugs at social justice issues, and just sometimes the world is so insensitive. But David, thank you for writing something like that. That monologue was very thought provoking. You know, we tend to overlook people, criticize people, you know, that are overweight, or even the other far, you know, too thin. You know, we always make weight a huge issue instead of just observing a person for who they are. And but I thought it was just very pointed monologue, and she makes excellent points, or you make excellent points in the monologue.
Yeah, it was just after that. I thought, because you asked the question you asked, I think, David, was, are they real?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to aim for.
I thought that the fat one was very real. I'm not sure quite what you were trying to get from a real point of view from the second one. I mean, it was funny, if only to find that Mugabe backwards is Ibagum, but it's about which may not work for everyone, of course. But so I'm not quite sure what that you know, the serious point or the real point you're trying to get over in that second one was.
Mm-hmm. And Gwyneth, I could listen to you say the nursery rhymes. Love you.
I can do
your
that.
voice.
Well, I sort of thought about those two ladies that, again, you know, we think people are just like go to work every day and maybe kind of ignorant, but these two ladies, you know, they do think about stuff going on, and you know, everybody has a lot more depth to them than you think, and so I just liked it from that point of view, that you might just look at these two ladies walking down the street and think, oh, they're just mums and going shopping and stuff, but everybody has stuff going on in their heads, you know. So I like that.
But both those pieces are intended to be longer, but just, yeah, as I say, it's a separate project I'm working on, just little bits and pieces, which there'll be about 10 of these little pieces altogether.
I think it's realistic that we're mostly thinking about lunch.
Especially when you're in a hospital. Yeah.